Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. This right here, this is the Democrats' worst nightmare. We've been talking about it for a while, how the Democrats invested so much. They made a huge play for the youth vote, thinking that young Gen Z voters were going to be the most left-wing of any generation. And well, the plan has totally backfired, and now we're seeing literally the exact opposite, as Gen Z seems to be frankly done with the left wing, the Democrat BS. They're not falling for the identity politics. They're not buying the guilt trip that's being pushed by these Hollywood celebrities. And it seems as though they're starting to notice how the Democrat establishment has completely sold them out in their interests, especially after 4 years of Joe Biden. Young Americans are being crushed under rent cost, inflation, debt. They were told that liberalism would bring all the answers, but instead they're the first generation of Americans who are going to be worse off than their parents. And it seems as though these young voters are putting the blame on the globalists. And so, like I said, the Democrats' supposed greatest asset has now become their worst enemy. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so we've seen the numbers before. I've showed you the polls showing Gen Z being the most right-wing of any other generation. But for this video, let's go ahead and take a look at why exactly Gen Z feels that way. I've got a clip here from a young Gen Z woman by the name of Savannah Furr that provides us some great insight. Take a look at this.
Some people may actually hate to hear this, but the young generation will never vote liberal again. We're the generation that grew up with parents living in a well-working society, being able to afford groceries on just one paycheck, dad being able to go to work, mom typically able to stay at home, going on vacation, the normal classic American dream. I know so many Gen Zers, including myself, that are working multiple jobs by themselves just to afford rent. Not even to buy a house, afford rent in a condo apartment. The liberal ideologies do not favor the working class of the American that wants to be an entrepreneur, that wants to own a business, that wants to be able to have a family on one paycheck. The liberal class favors progressive ideologies, which in no way favor the independent working man to climb the ladder. It's simple. You can literally look at the last 4 years that Biden was in office, from 2020 to 2024. I would say that that really had a dramatic effect on America and this generation. The number of riots, the number of illegal migrants coming into the country, rising of houses going up. You know that the majority of Hollywood and celebrities are left-leaning, and yet they're all so irrelevant to us working class. The majority of Americans can't even afford eggs right now. Everybody is all of a sudden leaning towards being a trad wife, and all of a sudden women are realizing that it actually kind of sucks being controlled by all these feminist ideologies, and people are trying to bring back families. You can see how desperate our generation is for truth and just to go back to what it used to be for our other parents' generations and the way they grew up. So no, I don't think that the new generation that is well informed will ever vote liberal ever again.
That's exactly it. You know, back then, one paycheck could feed a family. Mom could stay home. Dad worked a normal job. You had a house, you had a car, maybe even a vacation. Fast forward today, and most Gen Zers who are working 2 jobs can barely afford to pay for rent. We're not talking about a house, we're not talking about a mortgage, we're talking rent. And this has been a problem in the making for quite some time here, and it's only gotten worse and worse and worse. And all the while, what have Democrats told these young people? Essentially, you better shut up and stop complaining. You better be appreciative because Joe Biden and Bidenomics is working.
Bidenomics is working.
This is the greatest economy in modern American history is essentially what they told us. But what's really happening is an entire generation is being set back. And where it really got bad was the pandemic. Democrats so callously locked the country down, destroyed small businesses, kept kids out of school. They absolutely devastated the middle class, and especially young people who hadn't even entered the workforce yet. And meanwhile, their billionaire buddies and their corporate buddies got freaking stinking rich. They grew the size of government, they handed out contracts to donors, stimulated the economy, but all that money ended up in their pockets anyways. Then, of course, what happens when you essentially double the money supply? Well, asset prices start to balloon. BlackRock certainly profited, buying up untold amounts of residential homes, and regular people got further and further behind. It was all about safety, right? It was all about protecting yourself and protecting the most vulnerable. But what was the result? Sky-high inflation, record debt, out-of-control mortgage costs and rents, and a completely hollowed-out middle class. It wasn't all for public health, it was the largest upward transfer of wealth in modern history. But the Democrats, especially through the last 2 years of Joe Biden's administration, kept saying, well, look at the stock market, which in some cases can be an indicator of a healthy economy. If the fundamentals are in place, if inflation is low, production is high, then stock market growth could be a good thing for everyone. But when the fundamentals of the economy are bad and you're just printing money and essentially subsidizing the stock market, well then who's the growth good for? Certainly not regular people. It's good for BlackRock. It's good for Apple shareholders. It's good for the corporate lobbyists in Wall Street. Yeah, I'll tell you, the asset class was certainly popping champagne, but working Americans and young people were getting priced out of life. You know how much of a slap in the face it is to be falling further and further behind, to feel as though your purchasing power gets cut in 1/2 or 1/3, depending on where you live? And all the while it's happening, the people who are supposedly representing you and looking out for your interest are telling you it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's a complete slap in the face, and people aren't dumb. They see the track record and they see the broken promises. This clip right over here that was edited by Maze on X puts it into clear perspective.
Delivering millions of good-paying jobs to everyday Americans and lowering costs. That's our focus. We'll have a great story to tell in that regard. Everyday Americans across the country are fed up. They are understandably concerned, frustrated, or even angry about their decline in quality of life. The size of the middle class in this country has gone down, but the cost of living has gone up. That's a problem.
We're tackling the cost of living. Oh, the cost of living is our #1 priority. That was back in 2021. Then 4 years later, everything is more expensive. Food, rent, gas, insurance, the cost of debt. Democrats had all the power, they made all the promises, but there was zero delivery. No, in fact, the opposite. They delivered an absolute nightmare scenario for most people. And now Donald Trump's coming in and trying to fix it, and what's the media saying? Oh, he's the bad guy. He's the one to blame for it all. Oh, he's a complete disaster as he's trying to make life more affordable, trim government, revitalize the American working class and middle class, increase energy production to get the fundamentals of the economy in place. He is working for that next generation, but all the media does is constantly attack him and push these ridiculous news profiles about these regretful Trump voters, digging through the entire country to find one guy whose government honey contract got cut, literally.
Did you ever think when you voted for President Trump that things were going to cost you more and you were going to lose money?
I never thought I was going to lose this much money, this fast.
Jim is a Republican who voted for Donald Trump 3 times.
How do you feel about your vote for Donald Trump now?
Well, I feel like perhaps I should have considered some other options.
Among other things, Jim imports packaging supplies for his honey, so he's paying real close attention to the tariffs Trump just put in place.
We just bought our year's supply of bottles from Taiwan and our year's supply of corks from Portugal about 3 weeks ago. So that would have been, another $5,000 or $6,000 out of my pocket.
It's more than just the tariffs. For the past 2 years, Jim has been selling honey to the federal government, which then provides it to schools and food banks. But after Donald Trump took office, the USDA cut those programs suddenly as part of the federal government's effort to streamline spending.
For a lot of other local farmers around here, it was a major source of reliable revenue. For me, it's going to cost me around $150,000 a year.
$150,000?
Yeah, roughly 50% of my revenue.
That's a huge hit.
That's a massive hit.
It's a complete joke. I regret voting for Donald Trump because I lost my lucrative government contract. I mean, seriously, you're crying because you lost your government contract? Talk about a selfish, short-sighted view. I mean, I'm not celebrating the fact this guy lost his contract, but the fact that that would make you jump ship and regret your vote, it seems preposterous to me. Because what you should be voting for is policy, and how that policy is creating opportunity for young people and the economy at large. Upward mobility, freedom, prosperity, not your personal interests and connection to the government. Oh, well, I lost my contract with the government. Meanwhile, regular people have lost everything. An entire generation set back. CNN's focused on one guy losing a honey contract. Meanwhile, Democrats gutted the country for 4 years. But clearly they don't care anymore. Or the illusion of them caring has essentially dissipated. They used to pretend as if they were the party of the working class. But now they're obviously the party of the government grifters, the taxpayer-funded NGOs, the Wall Street lobbyists, the elite asset class, who seem to only care about their portfolios constantly going up, regardless of how it goes up, because that's an important factor, right? Well, young people don't have stock portfolios. Young young people don't have homes. They don't have assets. They want opportunity. They want to be able to get good jobs so they can save money, buy a home, start a family. And currently, the only party that's talking about that, the only party that's doing something in an attempt to achieve that prosperity for the next generation, is the America First populist right. That's it. And clearly, this grassroots movement that's gained so much momentum over the last 10 years, well, it seems to have struck a nerve with young voters everywhere. The shift is real, it's growing, and it's got the Democrat strategists behind closed doors sounding off the alarm, I'll tell you that much. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.